What's up, everybody? Welcome back. The NFL has returned, and we're here with some NFL preseason DFS picks and lineup advice for DraftKings and FanDuel, this time for the Hall of Fame game between the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Chargers. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, and in this video, we will give you the top plays for your DFS lineups for tonight's Hall of Fame game. And then, because you can't just win with just the picks, we will also give you some historical trends and some data based on previous Hall of Fame games to help you build your lineups and win those contests on DraftKings and FanDuel. Now, if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. We'd love to see you. If you're new here, glad to have you. And I know some of you may be asking or saying, wow, you're such a degenerate. You're playing preseason DFS. Well, guess what, sicko? You clicked on this video too. So you're right here with us. Pull up a seat, join the club, and let's get into it. And you may be asking, and maybe you need a refresher, why are we playing preseason DFS in the first place? Well, the edge lies in doing all of the research work on who's in, who's out, and playing time. And the industry has caught up a little bit in that regard. But that's not the only reason. That's not the only factor. Because we're Occupy Fantasy, where we separate ourselves from our competition when it comes to preseason DFS, especially in the NFL, is predicting playing time based on our experience researching preseason DFS and our massive snap count database to identify playing time trends, coaching staffs, tendencies, what they do, and then putting that all together. Look here on our website, and we'll get into the picks here in a second, but this is our snap count dashboard on occupyfantasy.com. Requires a membership, but you can go back all the way to 2018, every single position, every single player, every single week, and look at how many snaps they played and try to figure out what coaches did in previous preseasons, what they did in previous weeks. And not to mention, we also have opportunities and targets and air yards, the only site that has air yards for NFL preseason DFS. So an invaluable resource that helps us give you the best possible advice for NFL preseason DFS. Now, if we look at tonight's game, the Hall of Fame game, this sounds kind of crazy, but it might be the lowest edge we have over the next 4 weeks because it's easy to find information for a single game. You can go to any video, any tweet, any site, and you can find out which quarterbacks are playing tonight, which wide receivers, which running backs are going to play. That's the easy part. Anyone can do that. But the bigger edges come when there are too many games to research and when people rely on previous week trends. Not necessarily the case tonight, but people are going to rely too heavily on the news that we do have and not enough on the historical trends that are out there and that we know have won preseason DFS contests, specifically in the Hall of Fame game. In fact, one of our members won $20,000 in this contest 2 years ago. So we know how to win, and you're in the right place to help you win tonight as well. And by the way, speaking of those future Edge weeks, just make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. It's free to do so. We're doing a preseason video for every single preseason slate. Now, I'm gone the next 2 weeks, but our guys, Chuck and Chris here, our NFL analysts, they'll be on, one of the two will be on these videos for every single preseason slate, giving you the top plays at the top of the day for those slates. So now, let's transition and let's talk about tonight's game. And let's look at why it's an edge in the Hall of Fame game. Now, let's go back here. And you'll probably know this if you read anything or if you played preseason DFS in the Hall of Fame game. It's that preseason DFS, especially the Hall of Fame game, the defense is the only position that is on the field the entire time. There's fractured playing time elsewhere. We have multiple quarterbacks, multiple running backs, multiple receivers, multiple tight ends. Not the case in regular season DFS. So the highest floor and the chance of reaching that floor comes from your defensive positions, the Lions and the Chargers defense tonight, because we're on the field the entire game. You can't say that about any other player tonight. So if you look here historically in the 9 Hall of Fame games that we've charted, half of the defenses have scored at least 5 fantasy points. 35% have scored at least 10 DraftKings fantasy points. Now, in your regular season brain, that may not seem like a lot, but that is a ton of points. Anything that is not a zero is pretty impactful when it comes to Hall of Fame preseason DFS and generally any Showdown preseason DFS. So if you're playing low-risk contests, really small GPPs, get both defenses into your lineup. Tonight, if you're playing a low-risk contest, again, a 50-50, a double up, a head-to-head, put one of those defenses at your captain spot tonight or your MVP spot, which I should say, by the way, if you haven't played preseason DFS or you need a refresher, it's captain, 5 flex, like your normal regular season Showdown. Every player in the player pool is the exact same price, so you don't have to worry about salary cap restrictions. And FanDuel, they changed their entire Showdown single game format completely for this upcoming season. Let's go over to FanDuel really quickly. If you remember last year, it was MVP plus 4 flex, no salary multiplier at the top for your MVP. Not the case there is a salary multiplier that will come into play in the regular season, and they now have 6 roster spots, not 5. So it's become identical to DraftKings, and it's especially identical during NFL preseason DFS, where every player is the same price. So whatever I say today, the advice I give you, the advice we write in our daily plug on our site later this afternoon, that will apply across the board for FanDuel and DraftKings today. So, all right, we have the defensive stats. Next, and this shouldn't be too big of a surprise, is quarterbacks have the next highest floor. They also have a 50% chance of 5+ DraftKings points. They do not have the chance of reaching 10+ DraftKings points like the defenses do. And this is especially true tonight because both teams are likely to only have 2 quarterbacks each play. Let's go to the DraftKings player pool. And again, this is information that is pretty widely available. It's not a surprise by any means. For the Lions, Jared Goff is resting. He will not play tonight. So that leaves just Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen as the 2 quarterbacks. Pretty unsure playing time. These guys have been rotating reps. The belief is that they will get a half each, right? Maybe alternate quarters, maybe just get first half, second half. Possible. But one of the reasons we need to just keep this in mind and look at our snap dashboard is let's look at Detroit in 2024 and let's look at it. And Nate Sudfeld played 72% of the snaps in that game. This was expected to be a 50-50 split as well, looking back at our historical notes. So we could see Hendon Hooker get 3 quarters. We could see Kyle Allen get 3 quarters. It'll probably be 50-50, but let's just keep an eye out. Let's keep an ear out. Let's see if we hear anything leading up until the game starts tonight. Now, Hendon Hooker, massive rusher in college, did great when he played in preseason DFS last year. He's the preferred option of these 2 for the Lions. Now, if we go to the Chargers, Justin Herbert, starter. He will rest tonight. He will not play. Starters will not play in this game for either side. Taylor Heineke, NFL veteran. He's serving as the emergency quarterback only tonight. He will not play unless something catastrophic happens. So we don't have to pencil him in for any snaps. It's going to be Trey Lance, 5-year NFL veteran. Absolutely blew up preseason last year. Played a majority of most games. Got it done on the ground, got it done through the air. He'll be the most popular quarterback on the slate tonight, and rightfully so. He's going to play the entire first half, and he's supposedly going to get the first drive of the third quarter. So that projects him to be the highest playing time quarterback on the slate. Add in his rushing ability. Makes sense why he will be the most popular option. Behind him is undrafted free agent DJ Uiagalelei. Now, if you thought I was going to wait 5 months for NFL videos and not pronounce Uiagalelei properly in the first video back, you're out of your mind. DJU, 5-year starter in college, Clemson, Florida State. Florida State didn't go so well for him last year, but he has some rushing ability as well, and he'll get close to a half of work, just like Trey Lance, just like Hendon Hooker, just like probably Kyle Allen as well. So those 4 guys are the cores of quarterbacks that you're going to play tonight in your DFS contest. Now, just because defenses are most likely to score 5+ points, as are quarterbacks, does not mean they are the optimal captain choices, especially in the largest field contests on DraftKings and FanDuel. In fact, of the 9 Hall of Fame game slates that we've seen, 55% of the optimal captains have been either a tight end or a wide receiver. Now you may think, oh, it's probably quarterback and defense next. No, it's actually running back next. They get the next 33% of this group. And finally, it's defense. There was one game where Pittsburgh scored like 20 points in the Hall of Fame game, and they were the optimal captain. But it's wide receiver, tight end, and then it's running back, and then it's defense, not quarterback. And again, with these guys not playing a full game, it's really tough for them to reach a ceiling outcome that we see a wide receiver or a tight end or even a running back can get. So there's going to be some dead ownership at captain for quarterbacks when it comes to the largest field GPPs. Now, again, you're playing a small field GPP, 500 players or less, 200 players or less, specifically 100 players or less. Yeah, certainly you can lock in the points with quarterback with Trey Lance or Hendon Hooker, and you'll probably still be able to win as long as you get a spike with one of your flexes. Not necessarily the case in the large field GPPs where we got 50K up top on DraftKings, where we have 10K up top on FanDuel. So we're going to be looking to wide receivers and tight ends as our captains if we're mass multi-entering or we're playing the large field high-risk contest tonight. And again, because this information is readily available, because there's only one game to worry about, most people can figure out who the buzz is around when it comes to the wide receivers. And tonight, for both teams, it is their drafted rookie wide receivers. Specifically, let's look at the Chargers. And Keandre Lambert-Smith has been getting a lot of buzz. Their 5th-round rookie, a deep threat, Division I starter, legitimate programs. A lot of buzz in camp. Talking about him making the roster, potentially even getting some run in the regular season. So Keandre Lambert-Smith, high upside. Don't know how many snaps he's going to play. receiver is especially volatile in preseason DFS. It is even more volatile in the Hall of Fame game. But Keandre Lambert-Smith will probably be the most popular receiver option that people select tonight, but rightfully so. Got the most buzz, has the highest skill set of that group. On the Detroit side, it's their 7th round rookie. Where is he? Let's find him. It is. There he is. Dominic Lovett, 7th round rookie, more of a slot guy, and he's been getting a lot of buzz. And again, slot players, especially for Detroit, seemingly have gotten a lot of love in preseason DFS in terms of production. So Lovett, again, his name is out there in the industry. He'll be relatively popular for receiver. I'm not sure how many people will play him at captain, but a great captain option nonetheless. And then his fellow rookie, his teammate, Isaac Tesla, which is how you pronounce it apparently because he's Dutch. Really weird profile where this guy didn't really produce in college, and then Detroit gave up a bunch to go up and get him in the 3rd round when no one else really had him as a 3rd round pick. But they're hyping him up in camp. Unsure how much he'll play. He'll probably be a little less popular than Lambert-Smith and Lovett, but a good option nonetheless based on his draft capital, his college profile, at least in terms of where he played, and how much they're hyping him up in camp and how much they want him to be successful. So you're looking at those guys and you're like, Brian, that's great. Those guys still might be a little too popular for me. Who are some really under the radar receivers I can play in this $15 GPP on DraftKings at captain, in this $9 GPP on FanDuel at MVP? All right, I'll give you a couple names. Guys that we like. Some pivots from those 3 guys I just named. One is, and maybe if you've been playing preseason DFS for a while, you probably know this name. It's Tom Kennedy, who has literally been on the Lions for like 5 or 6 years. He's led the Lions in preseason receiving twice already. And again, you might think, Tom Kennedy, proven commodity, at least to the Lions organization. Why would they play him a bunch? But if we look at last year, again, we can go back to the snap count dashboard. We look at preseason week 1 for wide receivers, and we still see Tom Kennedy play 33% of the snaps. If he was that proven to the team, why are they running them out there for a third of a preseason game? That happened multiple times last preseason as well. And again, it's not a direct comparison Hall of Fame game to preseason week 1 when they only had 3 games last year for the Lions. This year they have 4. Maybe things change. But again, we'll take a shot on a much lower owned guy with opportunity and historical production. So we have Tom Kennedy for the Lions. On the Chargers side, we have a second-year guy in Brendan Rice who was banged up. He did return to practice. He should be good to go, but let's monitor pregame warm-ups just to make sure he is on the field and going to play. So Brendan Rice, infamously son of Jerry Rice, has not been productive in preseason, at least not last year. But they want to get him a lot of run. This dude played like 80% of the snaps in preseason week 1 last year, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look at the snap count dashboard. Let's go to the Chargers. And again, maybe Jim Harbaugh is the type of guy that says, these kind of fringe roster guys, let's get them as much work as possible and see if they can make a mark and make the team. You see Brendan Rice last year, 81% of the snaps in preseason week 1. Again, this is not a direct comparison. But if it is right and Brendan Rice is super low owned, we'll take that bet every single day of the week. Now, one other guy, really under the radar, maybe not if you've been watching our best ball videos here on YouTube. Chuck and Chris, I think I've talked about this guy once or twice. And our college football writer and one of our preseason plug analysts, Lucas, is really high on this guy. It's Oronde Gadsden, tight end, formerly a college receiver. Moved to tight end late at Syracuse, going to be a tight end for the Chargers. But a lot of buzz on this guy in camp. No one's going to play a tight end at captain. No one's really going to play a tight end, period, when it comes to preseason DFS and Showdown. So Oronde Gadsden, he checks all the boxes for a tight end that we're looking for, low owned. Going to get on the field. They only have probably 5 tight ends, and a couple of those guys are playing fullback tonight. So should see a decent amount of snaps. Formerly a college wide receiver. So we know he has the receiving skills, unlike most tight ends. So Gadsden, I mean, he'll be 0.5% owned at captain, maybe less, maybe a little more after this video. But Oronde Gadsden is our super, super under the radar guy. We'll be writing him up in the daily plug tonight as well. So mentioned quarterbacks, defenses. By the way, let's not forget kickers, right? Kickers are going to be on the field the entire time. The only reason they're a tier below the defenses is because they're not guaranteed any points. Both these teams could get shut out, maybe get a couple extra points. We know the defenses start with 10 points and work their way down from there. So Cameron Dicker, Jake Bates are the only 2 kickers on each of these rosters tonight, so they're also great plays as well. So you look at the core plays, right? It's the defenses, the kickers, it's Trey Lance, it's Hendon Hooker, and then secondarily it's DJU and Kyle Allen, and then we start to mix in some of these high-risk guys. Haven't talked about running back yet, and this will be the last position group I discuss here before we get out. And LA is crowded at running back, like extremely crowded, right? So Najee Harris, he is out, hasn't practiced, hasn't participated in training camp due to that fireworks injury. Just another reminder, kids, don't play with fireworks. We'll see when he gets back. But Marion Hampton, their highly drafted rookie draft pick, he'll play some. I don't know how much he's going to play. But they also have Kamani Vidal, Hassan Haskins, Naeem Hines. Yes, that Naeem Hines from the Colts. Jarrett Patterson, and Raheem Sanders. So we have 6, 7 guys here that could play at running back tonight for the Chargers. It is really tough to say who's going to play how much. You're flipping coins. And even more so, who's going to produce from that group, right? It's a lot of variance when it comes to guys getting 10, 12 snaps, who produces, who gets a touchdown, who gets a couple catches. So what's the best advice? Mix these guys in if you're building 10, 20 lineups, 150 lineups. Mix these guys in. Ideally, they end up in the optimal lineup as a lower-owned piece. Now, on the Detroit side is where we have some opportunity. And this will be important to monitor our pregame updates in our daily plug, our preseason rankings and playing time notes. I'll pull it up really quickly. This is from 2022, just a quick example, where we give you our top plays. The last-minute updates based on pregame notes are listed in blue. So and again, in preseason DFS, there are a ton. It wouldn't even surprise me if we have some tonight. It is the most important thing when it comes to preseason DFS. Another big edge that we have is monitoring these things all the way up until each game locks. Then we'll give you stacking pairs and partners, rankings for single game contests as well, low risk and high risk lineup construction tips, bankroll notes, and then playing time expectations for every single player on the entire slate. So tonight, we'll have this up. This afternoon, probably. We'll have probably 1 or 2 p.m. We'll have this up for tonight's game. But before the game, if we get pregame news, we'll update the rankings and put in notes on what we learned. And that'll be important because there are a couple question marks in the Detroit running back room. So Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, they won't play. They're starters, veterans. They'll rest. Craig Reynolds, running back 3. You might think, okay, maybe this room is a little crowded if Craig Reynolds is going to play. But he's pretty cemented as the running back 3. And even though he was less cemented 2 years ago, last year, he only played 8 or 9 snaps in preseason week 1, both of those years. I don't think we can project much more than that for Craig Reynolds. It honestly wouldn't even shock me if he sat in this Hall of Fame opener. Next is 2 guys that are banged up, and it's Sione Vaki, who we played in preseason some last year. He just returned to practice on Monday, hasn't even gotten a full practice, limited on Monday, limited on Tuesday to individual drills and walkthroughs. I think it would be pretty surprising to see him suit up in this game. But let's see. Maybe he does. Maybe he gives it a go. The other one is Kai Robichaux, undrafted free agent in Boston College. Pretty productive in college. But he left Monday's practice early, didn't return. And then there was like absolutely no mention of this guy in Tuesday's practice reports. Whether he practiced, whether he didn't practice, just fell off the face of the earth. I assume he's good because they didn't include him in any injury list. But if Kai Robichaux is not playing, that would leave just Jabari Small, who we saw for the Titans last year. Nothing special, but again, talent's not the biggest piece of importance when it comes to preseason DFS. It's, are you going to play? And Jabari Small will get a lot of snaps. And then it's Jacob Sailors, UFL legend. If you watch Chris's UFL videos here during the spring, you know all about Jacob Sailors, productive in the UFL. He was just signed this week, and they're talking about him being a camp body. And into the game, if they need somebody to get some run, it'll be Jacob Sailors. So if we get Gibbs and Montgomery out, as they will be, maybe Reynolds is limited. Vaki maybe doesn't play. Robichaux maybe plays. If Robichaux does play, he's a great play because there's only a couple guys to compete with. And then Jabari Small and Jacob Sailors. So that's 4 guys basically, maybe less. So you really want your exposure to the running backs in this game from the Detroit side, especially in smaller contests. So that'll do it for this video. I think we're done there. So the playing time news and expectations and rankings, our daily plug, that'll be up early this afternoon. The snap count dashboard is already up. So if you want to go back and look at what Detroit did last year, what Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers did last year, that's already up on the site. You can go check that out. Our lineup builder will be populated tonight. And how that works is we have very generic projections. I'll put a link here on the video. You see a video pop up. You can see a tutorial for how to use our builder for the preseason. But we'll have generic projections, and that'll change based on the top plays in our daily plug, our playing time notes and rankings. And that way you can just go in, add all those players to your player pool, and then run some lineups using the lineup construction tips we lay out in that plug. And I think that's it. Yeah, that'll do it. So again, if you're not a member, OccupyFantasy.com, as low as $7 a week for preseason DFS, and that gets you access to all sports, not just preseason DFS. So if you're still playing MLB, golf, MMA, get access to that as well. And we're going to be doing this for the next 4 weeks, and we're going to be having a ton a ton of data and a ton of fun. So make sure you subscribe to on YouTube, and we'd love to see you in our Discord server where we're posting last-minute updates. The instructions to join that are in the description below. So Brian for Occupy, thank you for listening. Let's be happy football is back, and good luck and enjoy tonight's Hall of Fame game.